We're in the garage at home and the car's been back for a week. A lot of people, or some people, have contacted us to find out what we're doing about what happened with the car and the rodents.
Well, first of all, we're not going to use rat bait because that'll attract the mice. They will die, but we'll attract them first and come in here so they might chew while they're eating. So I've read about it and I've heard about mothballs, and apparently peppermint oil deters mice and rodents. So I've currently got a thing from Bunnings I bought with some mothballs in. I've just got it tied there where the second battery can go. And I've also bought from Amazon some mice dice, which they're impregnated with peppermint oil. And they're only small. And they've got a really strong smell. They're 97% peppermint oil and 3% cinnamon oil. So we're going to tie them up inside the engine bay with some cable ties. Probably put 3 or 4, 1 on top and 2 down the bottom, hanging off some cables or something like that. And hopefully you'll see how that goes. So, but apparently they last a fair while, and you can re-impregnate them again with peppermint. I'm not sure what's inside. Looks like some sort of foam, maybe like you get when you buy your flowers, and it comes with that flower foam that they sit in or something like that maybe, but we'll see how it goes. And that was about, I think it was about $45–50 at Amazon, something like that.
Well, here we are at Canberra Airport, but we're not actually getting to fly anywhere. Oh, we've had to leave the baby at home because it's been 5 weeks now that we haven't had a car. We've hired a car for the weekend because basically I'm going out of my mind and John's taken pity on me. We're just going to go up the highway and see what we see for a few days, and we'll take you along. So this is the car that we've got, very different to the Prado, and we'll see where we end up. So we've just had lunch in Berrima, and the gumnut patisserie was amazingly yummy and reasonably well priced. Definitely worth going to eat to. These are the council campsites, low-cost campsites. So, I mean, it's wet, so it doesn't look as nice. But there's 4 campsites. You have to pre-book them. Then the river is just down here. There's no facilities, just a little playground, and I think there's a toilet. Look at that, we're just here and going through the courthouse, and they've got the ships of the First Fleet of Charlotte.
The Charlotte, yeah.
And John's just gone down to the people that were working on there, and there's his relative.
Well, relative, but someone with the same name as me.
There you go. Oh well, that was the courthouse. We did learn it was a silent jail, so for up to 9 months they'd put a thing in your mouth and it was silence. So eerie. Anyway, today this jail here in Berrima is still active. Hopefully they've updated it inside because it's cold today. Oh well, we're going to hit the road now and go somewhere else. But it was good to see the campground. It was really nice lunch and it was a bit of fun, the courthouse thing, but I don't need to do it again.
at Stanwell Tops, just north of Wollongong. Cars and people everywhere. And right there in the distance you can see the Ocean Drive, or whatever it's called, comes out over the ocean. This has totally changed. Many years ago, probably over 25, 26 years ago, we used to ride the motorbike from Sydney, where we used to live, down here, and there was nothing. Absolutely nothing in this here. They just used to hang glide off this point, and that was it. And now look at it. This is the first time we've been here since the mid-90s.
We ended up driving a long way south last night and ended up in Bomaderry. This place was super clean, 140 a night. Still 140 that we wouldn't have normally paid. And no views, really. Just a hotel room. But it did the job. But I'll be glad, I think we'll be both glad, when we get the Iridium back on the road with the car.
Here we are in Huskisson in Jervis Bay. When I was in the Navy, I sailed through here hundreds of times, through the heads over there. We used to anchor down that end somewhere.
Well, I didn't realise Jervis Bay, or Jarvis, depending. John always calls it JB. JB is actually an area, and then Huskinson's one of the places in it. One of the most beautiful places, and this is at the point. There's a sea pool, well, actually there's two sea pools, and this beautiful memorial, and it's right out on the point looking, and I mean, it's going to be a stormy day today eventually. I'd love to be able to see a whale, but I don't think it's the right timing. Guess where we're going next? Just take a photo of it, and I'm going to tell John that's where I want to go. And I'm sure he'd rather do that, because I was eyeing off that I wanted to do one of the boat things and go and look for the whales, but he's not keen today because there's a wind warning, and he said it'll be miserable out there if the wind picks up. And he'd be right, because he knows. Well, we come to the turn off to go out to the point, and you turn in here and you get met by this, and there's a flashing sign over there that says day access only, but the boom gates are on, and we didn't know really how it worked. But we just go up and you have to give details and you can go into the point, because this is actually a Defence Force facility for shooting and stuff. Well, as usual, I don't really know what I've got us into. John's just going along with the drive, but we're absolutely floored. We've driven about 8 kilometres, and look how many cars are here. And there was no one at the ranger's station, and it was isolated, and it felt like you were doing something really weird. And there's danger signs everywhere.
Here we are right on the edge. We climbed over a fence. Of course she wanted to do it, which normally I don't do that sort of legal activities. But I don't know if you can see out there, there's a couple of whales out there breaching.
We had no idea that the weapons range would be so beautiful. There's heaps of wildlife and there's lots of walks to do in there. And there's actually some campsites that we read about when we got home in the brochure. So we definitely want to go back to this area in the future. So excited. The car's back, the van's fixed. We're going to do a local trip just to make sure that everything's all right before we go too far away from home. And I'll show you where we end up. See you on the other side.